Welcome to Bridge for Youth Ministry. I'm Elder Mcqueen. I'm the coach. And this time period, we're going to talk about part 2 of our lesson, You Can Do Better Than This. In part 1, we talked about the effects of the low social structure and what you would have to do in order to break through a low social structure. Now we're going to talk about the systems. Depending on or sitting idle, waiting for a system to help, and placing your faith in a system will probably come with a heartfelt price to pay. In other words, we cannot afford as Christians to depend on man's system. They do not always come through for us. For example, you may be a student that's waiting to get a loan to go to school, and for some reason the loan doesn't come through. You go to different places and the loan doesn't come through. Well, that's a bank system. The system failed you, so you become frustrated. Or you may be in the second year of college and you're ready to go back to college, first or second year, and then you go to school and find out that you find out this problem was it. Okay, or maybe the place that you worked for a year suddenly start laying people off and you find yourself without a job. Okay, you were the last person hired, then you're the first person let go. So worldly systems do not always work for us. Some systems, some systems, like our legal system, sometimes doesn't quite work out for us because of where we are financially. Maybe sometimes the wealthy get away with more things because of the fact that they have more money than other people do. Okay? Or perhaps, there was someone that was supporting you and all of a sudden they get an attitude and now all of a sudden they don't want to help you in your endeavors. So now you find yourself faced with systems that at one time worked, but now all of a sudden when you need them the most, these systems no longer benefit you. And that's why we cannot put our faith into systems. Our faith has to be in Jesus Christ. There are no perfect systems, but there is a perfect Christ that can deliver right on time. I suggest you write these scriptures down, because these are the scriptures that we're going to go through. 1 Kings chapter 17, verse 1. 1 Kings chapter 17, verse 3 and 4. 1 Kings chapter 17, verse 9. Isaiah chapter 43, verse 18 and 19. Revelations chapter 3, verse 8. And Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 14. I want to encourage you young people to be motivated and not to hold your head down just because some system has failed you. Understand that is just a temporary delay. God has a plan for you. But what happens sometimes to us when systems fail us? Things fail to come through. Some people respond with a feeling of betrayal. They feel betrayed by a system. Some people will put their head down. They begin to cry and feel shame and just get all out of shape. Some people will begin to blame the system for their failures, and then they just fall apart. Some will just say, I'm just waiting on God to bring something to me. In other words, some people, when certain systems fail them, they just stop and they do nothing. Some people will feel like a victim when they've been failed by a system. And again, all they'll do is talk about how messed up the system is, but they won't get up and try something else. That's not faith. When systems fail people, some begin to get angry. Like for instance, if a man loses a job, or a woman loses a job, an individual loses a scholarship, something like that. A young person might begin to blame other people. They begin to get angry, and they begin to blame other people for it, and and they take their anger on someone else when system fails them. Some will just stand still at a dry well. They will just stand there and do nothing and feel sorry for themselves, and they begin to pity themselves and want everybody to feel sorry for them. I got news for you. Nobody's going to feel sorry for you. When your system fails you, you have to get back up and keep on moving, because God has a plan for you. It's very important to understand that. So what do you do when the brooks seem to be drying up? When your brooks are dried up, God will make provision for you. When your doors begin to close, God will make a way. I want to talk a little bit about the prophet Elijah. In 1 Kings 17:1 and 1 Kings 3:4, God chose the prophet Elijah to go to King Ahab to tell King Ahab that there was going to be a period of time in which there will be no rain at all until God himself decided that he wanted to rain again. Ahab was one of those kings that did a lot of things to provoke God. Matter of fact, he did more things to provoke God than most of the other kings. And so now God said there would be no rain for a period of time. But that meant something. That also meant that God would have to make provisions for the man of God, Elijah. So what was God going to do? Well, when your book is dried up, you should ask God for guidance and follow the instructions that God has given, and God will provide. God instructed Elijah to get away from his present location and go into a hiding place at the brook Cherith. Since Elijah obeyed God, God made provision for Elijah by providing water at the brook, and God commanded a raven to send food and meat to Elijah in the mornings and in the evenings. So, the key there was that Elijah obeyed God and followed God's instructions. When we follow instructions from God, God will provide for us. Revelation 3:8 says, I know thy works. Behold, I have set before you an open door, and no man can shut it. For thou hast a little strength, and hast kept my word, and hast not denied my name. Don't worry about the door that man shut in your face. Keep your faith active, and God's provision will be there in place. This is very important to realize that. Very important not to lose faith, lose heart, just because people close doors in our faith. Those are challenging times, but God will, in fact, take care of us. Now, what do we do when doors close on us? God temporarily provided provisions for Elijah at the brook Cherith. Then one day, there was no more water. But now God said, I'm going to do a new thing. So now God instructs Elijah to move to a new location. Elijah obeyed. At a new location, he met a widow woman who sustained him. Elijah followed the instruction that God gave him, and because Elijah followed those instructions, God made provision for him. If we will stay in God's will and follow God's instructions, God will not let us down. He will never let us down. God bless you.